Yo, oh my God. Oh my God. Things are moving, moving, moving. I'm so excited. So, you may have heard Chad just kicked out the French military. Hey. Yes, Chad has kicked out the French military. They've asked them to take out their military from the country. And the president of Senegal, I'm so happy because I gave President Faye benefits of doubt for a long time. Even when a lot of Africans have started said, "Oh, he's a snake, he's a this, he's a that, blah blah blah." I said, "No, let's give him a little bit of time. He just came in. Let's give him a year and 6 months and see his policies." And I'm so excited that I didn't really mount. It's good to have patience with people. So the president of Senegal mentioned that they can't keep having the French military in his country, signaling that it's time for the French to get out of Senegal. And I'm happy about that. And I'm happy not just because we are kicking out the French military. I'm happy because foreign military bases in Africa have done more harm than good. They are not good for the continent. So I am happy and I'm going to be extremely happy to kick out any military, not just the French military, but any foreign military at all. It doesn't matter if it's the Americans, the French, the Russians, anybody. We don't want them operating. President Faye said that, and this is a strong indicator of all the changes taking place in Africa. I know sometimes, yeah, we look at Africa and we say, like, oh, everything is bad, but it's just default setting for a lot of us. But if you take a closer look, there are a lot of changes going on. A few years ago, you would not have thought that we would have seen a situation that we saw in Niger, where the leaders are saying, enough, enough. You, Niger, and the minerals, the resources in Niger would take care of the Nigerians. Look, we are seeing the same thing in Burkina Faso. We are seeing it in Mali. Now Chad. But there's something I want to say about Chad though. Well, now Chad and Senegal, there's a movement. There's a movement taking place in Africa where Africa and our leaders, some of our leaders, not all, some of our leaders are breaking away from business as usual to carve out a place for themselves and their country in this and their countries in this new world that is taking shape. And I'm really happy. I'm really happy. Well, as that is going on, a president of Nigeria, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, I am trying not to. There's something in my mind I want to say, but I don't want to say it. Anyway, the president of Nigeria, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, decided that, well, as everybody's kicking out the French, he's going to open his arms and say, France, come on, baby. He went to France, and for whatever reason, well, they said they want to discuss economic things and blah, blah, blah. He went to France. He went to France and decided to cozy up to Macron. He wants to cozy up to Macron, that is fine, but he should not put Macron can be his friend because even before he became president of France, sorry, became president of Nigeria, he's always visited France. He's always in France for vacation. So I think personally, he just has a liking for France and the French people, which is okay. I don't have an issue. That's why I said if he wants to cozy up to France, he can be cozying up to France. But let him not drag our country, Nigeria, in that cozying up because there's a reason all these other nations are kicking out the French. Interestingly, Tinubu is the first Nigerian president in over 20 years to go to France because France is not something that comes into the conversation for Nigeria and Nigerian leaders. Normally, ever since I've been following geopolitics for a while now, and even growing up watching, like France is not a thing. It's a country, but it's not. Its presence, its geopolitical presence, is not a thing with Nigeria. Usually, with Nigeria, the geopolitical presence is um the United States. United States is present everywhere. It's the United States, the United Kingdom, and I think United Kingdom because they were the people who were the colonial forces in Nigeria. So France is never a thing. So it came out, even a lot of a lot of political commentators were like, France of all places, what are you doing in France? That's how shocking this visitation to France is. And what I found very interesting with that his visit to France is the way he was, it seemed the vibe I was getting, this is just me, but the vibe I was getting as Tinubu was working with Macron, it seemed to me that he was feeling like he's something just because he's with Macron. you know, yes, I'm in this second now, I've arrived. Well, I was getting that kind of vibe from him. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's just me getting some things that are not existing there. But that's the vibe I was getting. And then as I was looking at him, feeling special in my mind, though, this is what I'm not saying he said it, this is just the vibe I was getting. But as I was looking at Tinubu feeling special because it's with Macron, I'm like, Macron, of all people, is Macron that you're feeling special because it's just like saying you're feeling special because you're with Trudeau. Yes, France is an important country, but Macron himself is not is not an important. Anyway, having said that, I want to now look at back to I want to come back to Chad and Senegal. Two things I want to say. Number one, while it's important that Chad and Senegal are gradually getting rid of the French military bases. For me, it's not just supposed to be just the French. I mean, every military base you get out. While that is important, another important thing I want us to look at is economy. These countries, Senegal and Senegal and Chad, and as well as Burkina Faso, Niger, Mali, they cannot keep operating when they are not printing their currency. They may say they want to get rid of these military bases, which is a step in the right direction. But until you get full control of your monetary policy, until you get full control of your economy, you are not an independent state. You are not. So as we're clamoring and we're excited that yes, we've gotten rid of the French military, let us find a way to break these African nations away from using this French currency in their countries. As a sovereign nation, your currency cannot be printed by outsiders. It's not. This should be. I don't even know how this has continued to exist in the world for all these decades, and nothing, no, on an international level, nothing has been done about it because clearly these countries are not independent if their monetary policy is not under their control. So that's why I said we should find a way. Now, I've heard a lot of people say that this is why we need an African currency, one currency used by Africans. I don't know the process of setting up a new currency, but I think it can instead there should be a currency printed in an African capital, maybe somewhere, maybe in Burkina Faso, maybe somewhere in Mali, some in one of these French-speaking African countries. There should be a currency printed there by Africans that all those ones can use to replace the CFA, the one printed by France. Instead, like I said, I don't know the whole process, but I think it's going to be easier to print one for these countries in Africa, particularly in West Africa, that use this currency. It's easier to create a currency for those ones to operate than create one. I mean, in the immediate, it's something we can do in the next few years. That is faster to be able to get done than doing one for the whole of Africa. That's the first thing I wanted to mention. The second thing I want to mention is something that happened in Chad before they said they are transitioning into democracy and elections and blah blah blah. In Chad, that is why this leadership in Chad, I'm still looking at it with my side eye because before those elections, I think, well, yeah, before those elections or before the transition kicked off to bring back the whole elections, I wanted to bring back the whole elections and democracy. You know how I feel about democracy and discussed it in my in my previous video. But before that thing that happened, there was something that happened in Chad where the person who looked like he was going to win the elections is not the military head, which is this person, the one currently in power. It wasn't him. It was I think that it was his cousin that seemed to have that upper hand. There's something now. This happened early this year. Then something happened. All of a sudden, they said, "Oh, the opposition, which is the guy was the opposition for party. Oh, the opposition is trying to create a coup, and then blah blah blah." There was now so the military moved into the opposition office and opened fire, and killed him. Meanwhile, I believe much later there was a report, if I'm not mistaken, I need to verify this, but there was a report that the killing of that opposition figure was not necessary. In fact, there was a report that it was a close range kill because when they said, when they asked for how he died, they said there was a shootout blah, and blah. Just gave a funny excuse that I don't believe. Personally, I don't believe it. But audio samples, I need to verify this. I think I read it some months ago. Audio recording from that event said that he was killed close range. So I think that whole thing about cool, they were trying to plan overthrow the government, blah blah blah. I think it was staged just so they could take out the opposition party, which is why anybody who would do that does not think or care about the welfare of the people of Chad. Anybody who would do that is just trying to hold on to power. And that is why this current leadership in Chad, it's even if I talk about it and I've said they are moving in the right direction by kicking out the French military, that doesn't mean I'm looking at them like, or people who really care about the well being of Chad. They would have to do things. Like when I mean do things, they would have to do a lot of things to prove to me that they care about the well-being of the people of Chad. Because if you create such a stunt just to kill and assassinate your political rival, that doesn't speak well of you. That doesn't speak well of you at all. I was so disappointed in that. And even then, I think some months later, there was story. Although the government of Chad denied this in their defense, they denied this, but there was reports that the government of Chad was bringing the United States Green Beret back into the country. So they may be kicking out the French, but there are a lot of things that still need to go on within Chad that will now make me say, all right, this government is working for the well-being of the people. Let me know what you think about this whole kicking out the French military from Africa. Let me know what you think about it in the comment section below. And also, this thing about the Nigerian president, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, visiting Macron in France. As they're kicking out France in other African countries, he's going to bend the knee to Macron. Let me know what you think about this development in the comment section below. As always, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to this channel, and share this video with your family and your friends as we reach more people across the continent and across the world. And also don't forget to, if you want to support the work that I'm doing on this show, you can use the Buy Me a Coffee link on the screen or in the description below. Thank you for joining me.